In the stillness of the morning, a father runs, not for records, not for medals, but for something greater. Years ago, while in the Indian Navy, Kumarish ran 25-kilometer punishment runs. But something changed. The pain turned into purpose, the exhaustion into clarity, and the road ahead into a way of life. A few years later, the son joins him. Not by force, not by pressure, but by inspiration. One run became two became 20. Then the youngest follows, not because she has to, but because it feels like home. Running is no longer just about fitness, it's about belonging. What started as a solo run became a movement. A family that runs together doesn't just stay fit, they grow stronger together. They build a bond that no finish line can break. This is Team Kinra, a family that runs, a family that believes fitness is not an option, it's a way of life. What about yours?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Intentionality, where we discuss about life with a purpose, where recreational sport can provide that purpose. Today we have Team Kinra. Running can be solo sport if you want that to be solo sport. It can be a team sport, and then Team Kinra took it to another level, made it a family sport. So, welcome, Team Kinra, to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here. We are really excited. For running we have been doing, but this is our first exposure to podcasts, that too together. It's really exciting for us. Thank you for having us here.
Frame looks very beautiful with the same color T-shirt, so it shows that team spirit and team blue. So, I want you to introduce yourselves to our audience. Let's start with the senior runner, Muskan.
Hi everyone, my name is Muskan. I study in class 5, NCS Mumbai. My hobbies are running, playing badminton.
And Rehan.
Hello everyone, my name is Rehan Kinra. I study in the 12th grade and my hobbies are running, cycling and swimming.
Right. And then we have the youngest one, Kumarish.
Hi everyone. This is Kumarish Kinra here. I'm the father of the two little kids you see on the screen. By background, I'm a retired naval commander. I retired as commander from Indian Navy in 23 after almost 26 years of service, out of which 22 years of active service. Now I'm into a corporate job. I'm working as head growth strategy and M&A with Kirloskar Oil Engines Limited, Pune. And that is what I do for work. But otherwise, I enjoy my outdoor sports, especially running.
Thank you. So, Kumarish, your mother was a state level volleyball player.
That's correct.
And having someone at home who is into sports, and that to at highest competitive level in the country, how does it influence the kids at home? So, as a kid, how did it feel? So, tell us about your experience.
So, yes, my mother was a national volleyball player from the state of Haryana. Uh, we always had a kind of a thing in the evening that, you need to be out for a couple of hours, do whatever you want to, but you would not stay at home. And when you're at home, there were strict times for studies. And when I started growing up a little and I was exposed to volleyball, I got the nuances of volleyball from my mother. And it also so happens that we are basically Punjabi, so certain genes do trickle in. And I'm a second generation 4G, so that also exposure helped me. So this way, there was a sports kind of a background which I had. But frankly, throughout my school time, I didn't play very many sports. It was basically volleyball, which I was exposed to, kho and kabaddi, which used to be there. And to the best of my memory in running, what I had done was maximum of 100 meters sprint. That's about it. Beyond this, the exposure was not so much. Yeah, basketball as well.
So you had a sports athlete mom, and then you
Yes.
had a Fauji father.
Yeah, and a sportsman sister who represented Kendra there in nationals. So yeah,
So did you have a lot of pressure or did you enjoy the environment?
absolutely, because mom's background was great, dad's background was great. My sister was super duper in academics as well as sports. So I was like the black sheep around. Yes, the pressure was high, but I held my ground. I didn't yield, and I continued the way I was.
Did they kick you out to say, okay, go play, be active?
I was always there in the field, so there was no complaint from that point of view. But as far as excelling was concerned, uh, every kid has his own pluses and minuses. So yeah,
Nice.
I could compensate to some extent with my academics, but not in the sports.
So Muskan and Rehan, so father is a runner, is also a Fauji, and then is very fit. I saw some pictures where mom also runs, I'm assuming. So how about you guys? So did you have pressure of getting into sports?
Yeah, so there wasn't no pressure, but I doing sports as I gone for chess into school, carom into school, football, badminton, so all sports
How did you pick up all these things?
from that.
From dad. So dad is an inspiration there.
Yes.
How about Rehan?
There was no pressure as certain to be involved in sports, but as a very young kid, dad always used to put me in various sports to use up my excess energy, so I wouldn't trouble him at home. So I was always occupied in some or the other sport, and it would keep changing about every 2 months.
Would change 2 months. Okay.
Yeah, I never could focus that much. Running is the one that I've stuck for the longest.
Okay.
So that has made me involved in karate, swimming, squash, badminton, tennis, hockey. I've done everything, but running is the one that I've stuck with.
Nice. So you experimented well before choosing the sport.
Yes. Yes.
So how does it feel to have a strict dad at home? Is he strict, by the way?
When it comes to studies, and if you don't do it on time, yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, he is pretty cool.
He's pretty cool when it comes to sports, running.
Yeah, he's always encouraging us.
Nice. So coming to the cool dad, um, so you got into Navy very young. And of course, your father was a Fauji, so that explains how you got into it. So tell us about how you got into Navy and your experience of getting into it. How does one get into Navy?
So back in the 90s, the only career options were engineer or medicine. Otherwise, you were nothing. I'm sure
Yeah.
you sync with that. So, as every other science background kid, I had applied in many entrance exams. I cleared in a couple of them, but the ranking was not so great. And I was, having been on transfers throughout, I didn't have domicile either, so I didn't belong to any particular place. So, this is the kind of thing which was going on when we saw a small ad of 4 lines in newspaper for a naval entry or naval engineering college. And we have spent thousands on the other entrance exams. For this particular thing in Hyderabad, I took a bus, went to the place, picked up a form for 10 rupees, uh, filled it up. Registration was 15 rupees, total 25. And that got me an SSB book for some 35 or 50 odd bucks. That was the total expenditure which was there. And I was in. From that day on till retirement, I kept wondering as to what did Navy see in me, but I was very glad that I made a career. And since then, there was no looking back. At the age of 17, I was just 5 or 6 months out of school when I joined Navy. And that was the closure of outside world for me. And I've been with Navy throughout since then. Now, when I left in 2023, I felt as if it was some other world that I left from. And I'm being exposed to a separate world as far as professional is concerned. Yeah.
So you said that was a baptism by fire.
Yes. So, like, the entry was engineering, and we thought it's going to be a college where we never do engineering and go to college, come back, and as the normal colleges are, little bit we realized that it was also engineering. But I still remember my training officer's opening statement. He said, "Gentlemen, my only job is to make officer out of you. And if you become an engineer on the way, it's your good luck." We used to have physical fitness in the morning, runs in the morning. Then we used to have drill. Then we used to have classes. Then we used to go for clubs, clubs of various gymnastics to music to painting. You name it, you had it. Then evening again, we used to have sports. Sundays used to be cross countries, and good kids like me would go for punishment runs in the afternoon and also do the punishment runs on weekdays. So, yeah.
What's a punishment run?
On weekdays, it used to be something called extra drill. So whilst after all the classes and pickups, whilst others used to, go for normal sports, we used to take on our backpack, pick on the rifle, and go for that extra drill. It used to be a run. In Lonavala, that time Duke's Nose, which is also called the Nagpadi, the famous hill, used to be connected to our base directly. So we used to run till the base and back. That used to be extra drill for us. On Sundays, we used to have cross country in the morning for 12 to 14 kilometers. And good kids like me, good officers or soldiers like me, used to go for a punishment run till Ambe Valley and back, which would come to somewhere around 25 odd kilometers with the backpack. That's the kind of punishment runs.
So, which one did you enjoy the most? The cross country run or the punishment run?
Everything. Because there was no question of coming back in either of the things. You try to slacken in your cross country, you may be lining up for additional punishment. You delay your punishment run, you may be lining up in additional punishment runs. So there was no restraining yourself. You had to give in your best in everything that you were doing.
So, did you enjoy as a runner when you were putting in punishment runs, or was it like, why am I doing it?
Oh, so only time it was painful when you were doing it alone. But I was very fortunate because there were many more naughty kids like me. We would go in a group, and whenever you're doing anything in a group, it becomes enjoyable. So you're pulling each other. There are nobody can be 100% on every occasion. So one of us would trail back. We would pull each other, keep joking, keep cracking jokes, and keep laughing, and we used to finish it. And it was survival of that day. I mean,
So
you had to live through that day.
So it was not a punishment run.
Now I may joke about it, but back in the days, yeah, it used to be painful because, frankly, we were not right. We had gone out from the civilian background altogether, and the training had just started. So it takes time for body to get adapted to it. Once it got adapted, by that time you had become senior, and the things had reduced. It was not so crazy. But that initial 1 year when we were the juniors, you had to go through it, and now all that I remember is good memories. So, yeah.
So is that how the army folks are made tough?
Yes, and frankly, I still remember my mother's dialogue when we were entering Naval Academy Goa back in '96, and she was like, thousands before you have done it, and thousands after you would do it. So there's nothing that you can't do. And I mean, human mind is such. Kabhi kabhi bhed chal ho jati hai. You see the other guy running ahead of you, you catch on with him, then you give up. Or like it's like cross country, mind keeps giving up in between. Then you catch up. Things keep moving up.
Nice. But anyway, so I think that has taught a lot of life lessons. You picked up running as a lifestyle, right?
Yes.
So you said you were doing cross country running, which is not quite common in India. Like Western countries, people do cross country during school days as well. So what's the difference between a cross country running versus road running?
When you consider road running, the first thing is you have level roads, right? In most of the cases, yes, there are potholes, but there are not that many, and you anticipate it. You can continue at a constant pace. If you see upslope or downslope coming, you know how to pace up. You can adjust your body posture accordingly. But the thing which takes a hit is your feet, because it's a constant pressure on your feet. When you go for cross country, you're on kacha paths. That's a good part. The impact is not so much on your feet. That's a good part. But the bad part is it's not leveled. it becomes very difficult to appreciate ups and downs, because you may see grass, but there may be a hollow space in between. Those are the things which we need to be careful about, because still, to the extent that I have been doing trail runs and cross countries, our paths are not paved for doing the actual run. It is just a path which has been kind of earmarked that this is the route that you're supposed to follow, but the kind of preparation which is required for the trail is actually not done. So that could be risky when it comes to the health of your feet.
So did that prepare you well for the running that you adopted later in the life?
Yes, I mean, everything that we did was related to physical fitness, and more than physical fitness, it was a mental fitness. And a stage came wherein more than body, we used to run with the mind. Then you just forget what kind of pain you are in, because there are times when your ankle pains and starts paining. If you're having dehydration, your muscles can start cramping. But the kind of training which we got, it made sure that no matter what happens, you have an end goal and you're supposed to finish it. So we won't stop. There has never been a case of DNF in my life. There have been cases of DNS did not start,
Okay.
but thankfully I've not been in a situation of did not finish.
So build that mental fitness. Nice.
Yeah.
So during those army runs, did you wear running shoes or were those boots?
One thing which I didn't mention was we also used to have runs during our camps. So the weekly runs, which were the punishment runs, which were the extra drills, were in boots.
Okay.
The cross country and the Sunday punishment runs used to be in shoes, sport shoes, but not these comfortable soles which we have now. The soles that could come close enough are those PT shoes, which we used to have in school, that green color sole. So those were the closest. This is when we were doing the training. But the situation since then has improved, and now the trainees have Reebok kind of shoes. Back in our days, unfortunately, it was not so comfortable.
So punishment run was really punishment run. You ran in boots.
And then when you used to go for camps, camp practice as well as camps, you were in drill boots. And at those point in time, these drill boots used to have horseshoe as well.
Okay.
So it was a mix. When you're running on the parade ground also, parade ground is not just doing parade, you do warm up. And when you are being naughty, you also go for runs. Those times the drill boots used to have your horseshoes. And camps, you had other boots which may or may not have the horseshoe. It was a mix, basically. So we have suffered stress fractures. We still have lumps in our shin bone.
Okay.
We still have pains in our knees. But we have slowly graduated from running from body to running from mind. So it doesn't matter anymore.
So you're saying there were injuries during those days?
Yes, they do happen. And it's bound to happen. But it's okay. We all go through it. I mean, I'm a living proof. I did 26 years almost, and now I'm retired. I'm still fit. So at least running fit. So it's a proof. Everybody goes through that.
So apart from the camp runs, the cross country runs and punishment runs, when did you pick up running as a recreational sport?
Yeah, so this happened pretty late. Like I was a 2001 commission officer, and from 96 till 2001, we used to do the required runs. And by the time we got commissioned and we became officers, we realized that nobody was going to force you to run now. But it was so ingrained that you would still go for small runs in between to stay fit. And we used to play squash, badminton. You had to do small runs. But it all got serious somewhere after 2010, if I'm not mistaken, when I seriously got into half marathons. Then I went into full marathons. Then I got into ultra. I did triathlon. So yeah, you can say maybe after 2010, when there was no push from any side, no necessity from any side, that I got serious about running.
Why did you get into serious running? What prompted?
So this became kind of my meditation, the me time. I mean, there's nothing so specific per se. You can say that I have an issue of keep challenging myself. So I have been into various sports. I reach till a particular level and then I get bored. This has happened with squash.
Mm.
This has happened with badminton. This has happened with run. So that's what I said. Initial small runs were not sufficient to challenge myself, which prompted me to start going for longer runs. And there was this crazy friend of mine, course mate of mine, Suraddi Komal Kumar. He was actually the main push. He started saying, what are we doing? Let's go for a run. Let's do a little longer run. And it was a mix. But he was a special influencer in my life for sure.
So friends, profession, everything supported you to get into
It was kind of an environment that you were exposed to, that physical fitness was a need. This was the easiest thing to do because all that you needed was a pair of shoes and road,
right.
and you didn't have to be dependent on anybody else. That if you don't have a partner, you can't do it.
Right.
And it gave you the kind of energy drainer which you need to feel good. I mean, that's how I take it.
Nice, nice. Rehan, you run 10 kilometers now. So how did you get into running? So you said you experimented with many sports and then finally settled on running, which is good. How did you get into running? What was the trigger?
The trigger was dad. Very often I would see him getting up in the morning and going, and he would come back a few hours later, very tired. As I kept growing up, I understood, oh, he's out for a run. And he took me into one of them, which was in 2017, which was my first small marathon. And that's where it kick-started. Then me and dad kept running together. It became a father-son like an activity we did almost every single day. He used to take me out. He kept pushing me through everything. Whenever I sat down, he would pick me up and push me through and get it done.
Father influenced you to get into running. So what keeps you going?
I just found it to be very meditating. So it helps me clear my mind and use up the excess energy that I keep having.
So but you compete with each other.
Yeah, with certain barriers.
So you can have that banter at home.
But he
Yeah.
competes, and I keep getting slower. So the age is actually gaining on the age factor also.
So it's usually if he can come within 10 minutes of my timing, I give it to him. If not, then I win. So now that 10 minutes is slowly increasing to about 20 now.
Okay. So the age factor is coming into picture now. How about Muskan? How did you get into running?
I got into running because of dad, because he used to go like mostly every day. So I tried once and then I liked it. So I kept doing it.
So what did you like about it?
But it was very refreshing. It would keep you out of the house.
Okay. So everybody wants to go out of the house. How does mommy feel about everybody getting out of the house?
So the other influence was also being in the naval community, because we used to keep having Nofra Greenathons kind of thing on Sunday mornings, wherein you could find kids with 4 years of age also coming in, and oldies up to 70 years also coming for a walk. So it was kind of a mela in which people used to come, and that you should see that energy, wherein you see the kind of background which comes in. And that actually influences kids to try to catch up. They all make their own inspirations looking at elders running. The elders are under pressure to run because their families are watching. So that actually the environment makes sure that everybody starts getting into it.
I wish everybody in the world gets that community and then environment where they feel like they should get into some physical activity.
And especially in this sport, because uh, within a kilometer or two of starting the marathon, your mind starts telling you, why did you do this to yourself?
Right.
I mean, okay, if you're registered, just leave it. Let's catch the closest rickshaw or taxi and go back home. And then you realize, no, there's 40 kilometers still left and I need to finish it.
Right.
So, yeah. So, influence does matter. People around you do matter.
So anyway, you had put in 25 kilometers during punish runs and the cross country.
Yeah.
When did you get into marathon and how did that happen?
So, this is when Tata Marathons had started in Bombay. And I was posted in Bombay at that point in time. And One fine day, it suddenly came that there are certain classes who would be interested.
Okay.
And the way it works is running sports, youngsters need to be in front row. So that's how it came to me. And this friend, the influence in my life, Suraddi, was also there. He said, okay, let's try. We started with half. And by this time, we had already been a decade into the service, active service, and the physical fitness doesn't remain the same as you were during training times. So you start taking a hit. You are still fit, but not as fit as what you were before. So we thought, might as well challenge ourselves. We started doing this. We ran the first one. It was an eye opener because what happens is once you're physically fit at the peak of your physical fitness, your mind starts thinking that you're going to remain the same. But 10 years down the line, it was a reality check. When we ran and we realized, no, it doesn't work that way. You still need to keep working on it. So that is when it started slowly. So somewhere 2010, 11, I think that was the time when it started. And then I started doing 21. I realized that, okay, this is not satisfying me. I need to push myself beyond. So I got into a full marathon. Then I said, okay, this is not sufficient. I was in Delhi that time. I pushed myself into a triathlon. Then it was not sufficient enough. Then when this thing happened, I was in Bombay back. And as in Lonavala that time, when the first ultra happened, was another crazy story about that. And then the second ultra happened. So I have been pushing myself. And then there was a DNS, like I mentioned to you, not DNF, DNS.
DNS.
That was the Goa marathon, Goa half Ironman. I registered for it. I paid the entire fees, including the video, photography, everything. But I had sustained a ligament injury back in 2005, which keeps recurring. So that was the time when I went for squash game and I didn't realize I twisted my knee and I couldn't recover before the. So I do have did not start.
Not DNF. Okay.
Or
Got that. So during the army days when you were doing runs, were you
Yeah.
coached in any way or it was just go run?
So we have a proper warm-up kind of a session which is done. But in those days, a proper way of running was not exactly there because you were a big group who used to go for a run, and wherever issues used to be drastic, the we used to call them ustad. They used to correct those things. But per se, what should be a heart rate? What should be a cadence? What should be a nutrition? Possibly these things were not looked into so seriously because you were being trained for any kind of eventuality. When you are required to perform your duties as a defense guy, you would not be in a situation to say that, diet is not proper. No, it doesn't work like that. It could be midnight that you're told to perform a particular task, you have to run for certain distance, you would do that. So possibly that kind of focused training of running was not there, but basics were all taken care of.
So when you started the recreational running, did you get coaching or you were doing it on your own?
So like I told you, when you are peak of your physical fitness, you think you can do everything. And after that, your mind continues that thinking that way, even if your body condition is deteriorated. I got hit by the same thing. I didn't take any coaching. Only thing which I did once was to follow She Running, that is CHI running. But that was also somewhere in 2016, 2017. But beyond that, I've never taken any coaching. I've just gone for the runs. In fact, most of my runs have been beer runs.
Yeah, I mean, I do understand all your plans for the race registration happens over a beer. What's with it?
So, I don't know what the relation is, but yeah, like the first triathlon which I ran, I was in Delhi at that point in time in naval headquarters, and it was a Friday evening. I was sitting waiting for a friend of mine. I had a couple of drinks and I had nothing else to do. I was browsing through the phone, and suddenly this Delhi International Triathlon ad pops up. By that time, I was already bored of the run. So I said, okay, let me challenge myself. And again, I was on beer that time, so I just registered. And after registration, I realized I didn't have a cycle at that point in time. And the swimming pool out there in our campus was only around 12 or 13 meters tight. And this triathlon was Olympic triathlon is basically 1.5 kilometers swim, 40 kilometers cycling, and 10 kilometers run. And I had hardly done even duathlon before this. But I had registered. I hardly had any time. So I did whatever best I could. I requested a friend of mine. I needed a cycle. He got me a geared cycle, but it was MTB. Later on during the triathlon, I realized what a big mistake that was. And I practiced that swim in the small pool that we had. But again, it was not a DNF. I finished it and well within that time. And now that is where I say it comes after a particular time, we start doing things with the mind more than the body. It was the mind which allowed. Come down to 2017 or 18 when the first Tata Ultra was to happen in Lonavala. I was in Lonavala at that point in time. And this crazy friend of mine, Surati, he was in Bombay. One day, on Saturday or Sunday, we were having beer and he calls up, what are you doing? I said, nothing great, because the family was in Bombay, I was in Lonavala for my training. And he said, okay, let's do a marathon kind of a thing. I said, okay, which one? He said, I read somewhere it's Tata Ultra is starting. Let's go do categories 35 and 50. Let's do 35. We were again a couple of years down. I said, if you want to do the whole hog, why stop at 35? Let's do 50. And then we registered for 50. And later on we realized what kind of a thing that we had enrolled for during the run. And then came BNP Ultra, and that was also a similar story. So yeah, most of our crazy runs and triathlons have been over beer.
So
That's how it's been.
So it's combination of Mr. Suradi and beer that leads
Yeah.
you to big runs. So you need to have such friends who push you.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So how this running has impacted your professional life once you started a recreational sport? Did it have any impact?
So what it really helped with was I've always been a outdoor kind of a person. So nothing against anything, but I've never ever so much appreciated yoga and meditation, which I do now because I'm 10 years further down, 10, 15 years further down from that age. Now I realize the importance of it, but back then I never did. So there was no way that I was able to calm down my mind. And when I started doing these recreational runs and practice for it, when I used to go for long runs, it became kind of a meditative thing for me. For some time, initially your mind keeps running wild when you start your run. Then your body starts paining. For some time, you keep focusing on that. Then you realize if you keep focusing on these things, you'll not be able to run. So what I trained my mind was find the center marking of the road, focus on it and keep running, or the side marking, white marking. What I didn't realize at that point in time was this was helping me focus, and it translated into my profession. That was one aspect of it, and second, fitness continued. So yes, it did benefit a lot.
Absolutely. Okay. So all of these runs that you did not have a structured training. So it was all friends coming together and running.
Unfortunately, no, and maybe I'm not the right example for people. but yes, I would say one thing that if it's taking you time to register for anything, first register, because there will never be a perfect time.
Right.
When you got to do it, you got to do it. Set a deadline and go and tell 10 people that I'm going to do this, and then see the kind of pressure which comes on you. You will start doing half a kilometer, and soon you'll be able to finish it. But do that if you're not being able to register at all. It's okay even after registering if you don't go for 1 or 2 runs. That will be a reverse pressure on yourself. But do it.
Okay.
Don't just keep thinking that someday I will do. There will never be a perfect day.
Nice. So Rehan, how do you decide which race to run? How do you plan?
I've been running one marathon consistently. That's the Navy Marathon. I started in 2022, and it's been 3 years of me continuously running it. Every time it comes up, I know when the registration is going to start. I give dad a heads up. This is coming. I need the registration to be done.
Okay.
So I keep planning it. I recently missed the Tata Mumbai Marathon due to my boards coming up. So I didn't want to sacrifice my studies for the run because the run will come next year as well. So yeah, I go according to how important my studies are at that period of time.
So, what will be your training cycle when you register for a race? So, how long is your training cycle?
Not that long, probably like about couple of weeks, keeping a weekly mileage of around 50 kilometers and slicing it up to smaller runs that I can cover up. And if possible, try to run twice a day, but I try to limit myself not to doing that because then it carry forwards to the next day and then I'm too fatigued.
So, you're talking about double runs and 50 kilometers a week, and then that's no less, by the way.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes it only reaches about 30 or 40. If I'm not feeling good that week or if I have too many tests in the week, then I can't focus on running that much.
So, when do
So
you
at
run?
present, because of the boards coming up, I've stopped running since 8th of December. That was the last marathon that I did, which was the 2024 WNC marathon, half marathon. After that, I have not run and I'll only start after my boards are done.
Okay. So when do you run? Before the school or after the school?
In the evening, I find that the most peaceful for me. Morning, there's the issue of me getting up. I've always struggled with that. Even for school, half the time it's dad calling from Pune, Rehan, are you awake or not?
Okay.
So if he has to do that every day for me to run, then it would become too much for him also. So I usually run in the evening.
So let's say there is no race and there are no board exams, there are no tests. Would you still run? How often do you run?
Yes, for sure. I'll try to do it every single day.
Every single day. So there is no rest day.
Yeah. No, rest would be a shorter run, the slower pace.
Okay. So how many kilometers do you run when you go for a run?
Depends. If I'm on a long run, I limit myself to around 12 because after that I can't keep going. So my max till now has been about 12.
Okay.
That too in a race prep. Otherwise, I only do 5 to 6.
5 to 6 kilometers every day. Okay.
Yeah.
How about Muskan? So how do you decide which race to register?
When dad registers for a marathon, he asks me, then I think, should I do it or should I not? Then if I want to do it, I tell him, then the register's done. Registration is.
So how do you answer whether you should do it or you should not do it?
I say that I need some time to think. Then I think about it. If should I run it or not? If I would get time for it or not? Then if I do, then I would say yes.
Okay, so if there is no race, how many times do you run?
I run mostly every single day.
Oh,
Yeah,
so-
mostly every.
so would you both go together for the run?
No, I go alone. I go below the building. He goes outside.
Okay, so how many
Yeah,
kilometers?
we both are at different paces at this point.
Ah, right. So that makes sense. So how many kilometers do you run, Muskan, every day?
I don't really count, but I think one stretch from here to the other building is like 200 meters. So like thrice or 4 times of that.
Okay. So you go like what your dad does. He is not on Strava. He does not care about statistics or everything. He just runs for the fun of it, joy of it. So you're following his footsteps.
Yes.
That's great. So Rehan, now that you enjoy running, so has it impacted your studies or your life in general?
Yes, it has helped me both in my academics and in life as general. In academics, it uses up my extra energy, so it helps me focus better on the academics. And in general life, has just gotten more discipline in me that I have to get these things done at a certain point of time.
How is it for you, Muskan? Has it helped you in studies or life in general?
It has helped me in studies, or else like when I'm too stressed about studies, I go down for a run or play. And then when I'm back, I'm very refreshed. Then I'm ready to study.
So it's a stress buster.
Yes.
Okay. Nice. So when you have exam, if you are stressed, so you would just go for run and then come back.
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay. Nice. So running has really helped. Talking about running further, so you did not start Ironman 70.3. So what's the next goal?
Still within my bucket list, which I will do. Only issue which I have been facing is now families in Bombay, I'm in Pune, so weekends are also as good as working for me. So not this year, probably next year, I would definitely register for that. And the other two things on my list are Khardungla Challenge and Lal Pra. So I hope by next year and I'll be able to do it. Now the problem is I need to start again getting certified. Basically, I need to go back to 21, get that timing, get to 42, get that timing. So that cycle has to start for me. But by next year end is what my target is, that I would be able to meet these three things for sure. That is again, like I told you, I don't stop at a particular level. This is the next level that I want to push myself to be.
Right. So 72 and then 134. Yeah. Right. So those are steep targets. Very nice.
That's what I tell my kids also. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. So you need to keep pushing yourself.
Absolutely. That's a good lesson to teach the kids. 2 years back you were a student, right? And you were also working.
Yes.
So did running happen during those days?
Cheating did happen. Like I told you, I always made plans that I need to achieve these targets, even if I know that it won't be feasible. But I push myself. To some extent, running did happen. It was very tasking. So longer runs, I don't think so. I will manage in these academic wala session, because it was not just my academics, it was my kids' academics as well, so which I need to focus on. But yes, running was still continuing.
So now how many times do you run in a week?
So I make sure that at least thrice a week I'm out for run as well as exercising, because now I've started realizing that as you age, your muscles deteriorate much faster than you think. Going to gym becomes really a task. So what I've done is now I've gotten back to our traditional Indian mechanism. That is, I have got my home gym ready, which includes Hanuman Gada, a Santola, and Mutkar.
Okay.
So my strength training is at home, and are in my society. Uh, Soon we may be co-locating, and I guess that is when I may start doing the serious runs.
So right now it's combination of sprint training plus runs.
Yes.
And that absolutely makes sense. When we cross 40, yes, we need to put in a lot of effort to stay fit when we were 20.
And especially if you let go in between and your muscles dwindle down, it's very difficult to build up at this age. It's doable in 20s, 30s, late 30s also. To some extent, you can do it fast. But after that, it really takes a lot of effort.
You told me that being Punjabi, diet is taken care. So what exactly does it mean? So would you cover all the macros and micros?
Frankly, I don't know, or I'm not got into the depth of what kind of nutrition is required, but I know what is the Punjabi diet is, right? So white butter is in sufficient quantity. Parathas are a must. Milk, nuts, non-veg. I mean, these things have to be taken, and we keep doing that. Like for my kids also, my fridge is always stocked up. They have been told that every day have a couple of sausages or eggs that you keep having on your own. Only thing is, parenting is not easy. Training is not easy to your kids, especially when it comes to your kids. So when I was getting these kids used to these kind of things, trust me, I had to had so much of sausages, so much of fruits, because these kids wouldn't just eat. So if you keep doing in front of them again and again and again, it becomes like a normal thing for. Like in case of Muskan, I'll share certain photographs with you in which you will see that at least in 2 marathons, she was on my shoulders. I ran those 5 kilometers with her on my shoulder. And those are the kind of things which, if you keep doing again and again, the kid gets interested in running. So apart from the environment, you need to push. Like Punjabi Khandan, boys, pit ke bade hote hain, to Rehan grew up that way. His marathon happened that way. Ladkiyon pe, we can't raise hands. So I had to take her on my shoulders, run her for long distances because she would question everything. And I didn't have answers.
Okay.
So slowly she got influenced. But that is what I meant by Punjabi diet and Punjabi culture,
Okay.
not undermining any other thing. I speak about it because that's the only thing which I've seen in my life. So I can only talk about it.
Okay.
I'm sure every background has their own pluses and minuses. I don't want to bring our minuses.
No, I mean, based on what you described, so there is protein there is fat there is enough carb, and then there is fiber as well. So it's pretty much covered. Instead of telling them do it, let them see it.
It's who will listen to you. I mean, all of us have faced this, and I have realized that it's better to keep repeating things. Like latest thing which I'm getting my daughter onto, though she's on screen, is eating strawberries. Trust me, in last 1 year I have had kgs of strawberries just to get her into it. Now she started. When butter was the thing, I mean, I used to have doles of butter just to make sure they start having it. And that's how it is. You need to set example. If you want your kids to get into sports, you need to first get into it. If you want, like we used to in a naval house, we were on 13th floor. So we used to have sprints, all three of us, going to the top. So it was not that initially they started doing it. Initially they looked at me and started laughing. What are you talking about? 13 floors, forget it. Slowly we started doing it. And towards the end, Rehan used to come first, Muskan was second, and the whole dad used to come third. But yes, they started doing those 13 floors.
So Rehan, or what about strength? In order to run, of course, you need strength as well. Would you do strength training as well?
Yes, so dad has also gotten me into the Indian culture of workouts. He has bought me also Samtola and a Mudgar. So I'm working on both of them to build up my strength. And now I've started adding a bit of resistance band to both of them. So I use resistance band and both the workouts using the Mudgar as well as the Samtola.
Okay. So,
And for other workouts, I just do body workouts at home.
so did you put on some muscles because of this?
No, I just kept growing in height. My weight has stayed at a constant 56 kgs since the past 2 months. I've been trying to gain weight, but I've gained a couple of inches of height, but no weight.
Oh, nice.
So growing in the wrong direction.
Okay. How about friends? So now, given that you go and compete in races, and you also compete with your dad, so does it have any influence on your friends? Do they look at you differently as a model?
And that goes two ways. I have a couple of friends who are really involved in running. One of them is Kamya Karthikeyan, who was recently become the youngest girl to complete the summit all 7 mountains.
Oh, nice.
That's the 7 highest mountains in the 7 continents. So most of my running is with her. We push each other, and for the other way around, friends have been interested in it. They keep inquiring about it. They want to get into running.
I wish every school has few runners who push their friends to get into it, because like you said, Kumarish, running does not require too many things. Pair of shoes, start running, no dependency. It would help people stay healthy quite a lot. Muskan, how about you? Do you have friends who run?
Yes, I do have friends who run, but not as much as I do.
So you are the influence on that.
Yeah, little bit.
So what are your running goals, Muskan? So when you grow up, what is that you want to do? What is on your bucket list?
I want to run 5 kilometers in 30 minutes.
Okay.
Do 10 kilometers in 50 minutes.
Nice.
And yeah,
That's the current goal that you have. How about competing in Olympics one day?
not really thought about it.
How about you, Rehan? What goals you have as a runner?
As of this year, I want to drop my 10K times to a sub 45. I'm at present at my best is 51. So I want a 6 minute improvement. And for a 5K, I want to do it in sub 18 and also tackle my first 21 in a sub 2 hour.
Oh, nice. So have you? So you said you have run 12 kilometers maximum. So
Yeah.
so you want to get into half marathon mode as well.
Yeah, and also at a longer stage, I want to step into the world of ultra running and compete the Triple Crown, which is the Theo, the Badwater, and Moab 240.
Oh, nice. So that's a fantastic goal to have. Forget about marathon.
Yeah, I want to step into all of them, and also one of the major one is to complete the Barkley Marathon, which only has 26 finishers in 20 years of its history.
So you want to take on the tough ones.
Yes.
Fantastic. So those are great goals.
Thank you.
And in fact, like you were saying, Kumarish, if the goal does not make you uncomfortable, make you scary, then they are not the real goals. So that is already showing in kids, right? And of course, you want those rights for banter at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, actually, it so happens that many times we just have discussions around running as well, the shoes, the kind of shoes which are going on, and I feel as if I'm totally outdated. I have no knowledge. The kind of marathons that my son speaks about, I have not heard of it. Now, in the long run, if you ask me what my targets are, apart from these 2 years, long run, my target is only that I need to keep running till the time I'm around, at least walking.
I mean,
So-
US is pretty set, just went for the joy of running. Don't worry about times. Don't put it on Strava. I mean, that's actually a good way to look at running. Just embrace the running for life.
Exactly. I mean, even while running marathon, the basic thing which is to be followed is run at a constant pace. That's the mantra in life. You need to keep doing what you want to do, not what others are doing. Else, what you do in marathons, when I started my initial marathons, was I used to start overtaking every guy who was around. And by the time I would be halfway through, I would be exhausted. And the same guys would go ahead of me. And I used to feel, how? Why? Why is this happening to me? Why I was running better? Then I realized, no, marathon is running at a constant pace, a constant heart rate, constant cadence. And so is life. If you keep getting influenced by everybody around you, how good, how bad they are doing, then you're not living your life, you're living a life which is influenced by them. So that is the way I take it. Run at a constant pace wherein you're happy. Today I might be doing only 21 at a certain pace. Doesn't mean tomorrow I'll not be doing 42. I will go for 42, but at my own pace. I would enjoy that 42 kilometers as well. In life also, it's the same thing. I enjoy a particular car today. I'm going to enjoy it. Because you may sit in any car, the people around are going to look only at the car, not in the person sitting inside. What are you gaining out of it? I need to gain my peace of mind. So that is how my philosophies of life and running keep intersecting each other.
That's a great one. So what's your advice for someone who wants to get into running as a lifestyle?
Just do it. Just do it. Get out of that bed, get out of that couch, get out of the house. You have to constantly make improvement. You have to keep moving ahead. You are expected to run, you can't run, you walk, you can't walk, you crawl. But you keep making movement. You need to keep making progress. You may not be able to do it today, and running is a thing which will dishearten you much more than it will encourage you in the initial stages. It is just like golf. You start initially, the only thing which you will look around is what people are thinking about you, because you don't have the base now. But if you are at it, trust you me, in period of 2 to 3 weeks, you'll be much better than others around you. They will still keep looking at you, but you will come into a state of mind wherein you will stop worrying about them. And then you start focusing on yourself. So please, and don't worry about a perfect pair of shoes, a perfect fit which would be purchased in perfect sale which would come at a particular time. Doesn't matter. Whatever you have, just move out on the road. Get out of the house and you start feeling the change. That's my simple advice.
In fact, that's a great advice for even life as well. Taking everything at face value and then going with the flow.
There's no perfect time in life. When the time is perfect, you don't know whether you'll be here or no. You don't know whether you'll be in this condition or no. I look at people running behind money. Well, they'll have money, sufficient money by the time they are in 50s, 60s. By that time, possibly they'll go to a 7-star hotel and order curd rice because the body will not support it. Possibly the teeth will not support it. You have money, but what are you going to do with it? Because you have been saving all throughout.
Right.
Might as well enjoy it today. Live in present. Do what you can do today. If you are happy today, if you're healthy today, you will probably continue doing the same thing at a later date also. But if you're sacrificing your health right now, trust you me, there's no way you can be in a healthy state to enjoy whatever you get at a later date.
It's a great wisdom nugget. So, and in fact, I was going to ask you what is intentionality. You have already defined what it means to you, right? What it means to live their life with purpose. Muskan, what's your advice for someone of your age if they want to get into running?
That they should do it. It's going to be worth doing it, and you should try new things. You may like it, you may not like it. If you like it, you will continue. If you don't like it, you will leave it.
What if they don't like? Would you have any suggestion to be at it?
It's fine. Everybody has their own choices.
Okay. Rehan, what is your advice for people who are studying in 11th or 12th? Some of them would be studying for competitive exams like NEET, JEE. They're already under a lot of pressure. So if you were to advise them to get into some physical activity like running, what would be your advice?
I would advise them to start running. It might help them to de-stress, and if they love it, they would surely want to keep getting only faster at running. They'll keep challenging themselves. I have influenced quite a few people in my new school to start running, and they have come back with a positive result to me.
Oh, nice. So, Kumarish, you have set an example by introducing running to the kids, and then they taking it and then having good influence on other kids at school. So, if you were to advise parents who have their kids at home and then want to uh, build a team of physical activities, be a team of athletes at home, how should they start? What should they do?
See, my simple advice is uh, first is if you want the kids to get into it, then you need to get into it. If you're finding it difficult for yourself to get into it, at least pretend to be there. At least take your kids to the place wherein they can get influenced. I mean, you parents putting the kids in just a tennis class or a running with a running coaching class doesn't mean that the kid will start enjoying it. He will become smarter at avoiding it because he's not there. It requires parents' involvement throughout, be it academics, be it sports, be it anything. These are the formative years, and kids will look up to you for taking advice. Why do we put kids in good schools? Because the environment around is conducive. Then we make sure that we also go for all their functions. Same is the case with sports. Till the time kids don't see you putting in your skin into it, they may or may not find it worth of doing it, because at some point in time, this Gen Z may simply ask question, if it's so interesting, why are you not into it? Then you go around telling them that, we didn't have the facility for it. Now you have it. Why are you not doing it? Then you can't explain it.
Right.
So it's better you be there with them in whatever form of support that you can give, and don't push the kid. They will experiment. I mean, there's a famous joke, right, in one of the movies. अगर सचिन तेंदुलकर के father उसे bowling करने के लिए बोलते तो क्या होता? I mean, like what Rehan said, I have been experimenting with him right from swimming to golf. We have done everything. And it was never that he was being pushed. It was being just exposed to it. And he's picked up running recently. I recently means few years back. Imagine the kind of effort that has gone behind it to do it. But you have to be at it. When it's your own kid, you would keep doing it. And like you said, I have set a trend. My requirement and my aim was only these two. Rest, I had never even thought of. If it happens, I'm really happy about it. And good for these kids that, that gives them also confidence, but it was never in my scope of things when I started off. So that's how it is.
So it's paying it forward, right? So so you said don't tell, just show, do it and show. So and also doing this is paying it forward. So kudos to you actually. And
Thank you.
good job, Rehan and Muskan, for influencing your friends as well. When we become fit nation, our economy will also improve. So fit nation is always a wealthy nation because fitness is wealth. So thank you so much. You are all three of you are inspirational, and I hope people pick up you as an inspiration and then start running or do something that they like, not if not running, right? So get into some physical activity, stay fit. So thank you so much for setting that example, and thank you so much for coming on the pod and then sharing your experience. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking your time for us and giving us this opportunity. Thanks from Team Kinra.
Thank you, Team Kinra.